Good morning, YouTube. How are you? And welcome to my live. It is a Saturday. I'm in a new location. I've moved my camera a little bit so I'm not just staring down at you. I can actually look at you in your face. Um, it's sunny outside. It's finally not raining in California. I can't, but we have more rain coming. So that's another story for another day. I got Indy right here. She had a very traumatizing morning because she saw a gray squirrel. She saw a big, fluffy gray squirrel. I saw the same squirrel. It was running along my back fence, and she had never seen another animal in the backyard. She's only 9 months old, and she's completely traumatized. She won't go outside. She's like stuck to my side. And anybody who says that pit bulls are mean they've never had one. They are the biggest babies and the biggest sissies that of any dog breed. I'm telling you that right now. So let me put right here, welcome every, oops, if I could spell everyone. Okay, so today we're going off subject a little bit. When I've been coming here on my lives, I've been talking a lot about like skincare. I've given you some reviews and all of that good stuff. But today we're totally jumping off subject. And what I'm going to be talking about is the comment that I got off of a recent video that I did because I dyed my hair a very it's actually lightening up a lot, but I dyed my hair and I buzzed it again on one of my videos last week. And I mentioned on there that a comment that I hear very often is, I would love to have my hair like that. I would love to change my hair. I would love to have short hair, blue hair. I'd love to have a tattoo. Regardless of whatever it is, they say that they wish that they could do it, but their husband tells them no. Now, I say, and I really want to clarify this right off the beginning. I reference husband because I'm sharing my experience as a woman. I'm sharing my experience of what it's like to be in a relationship where you have your husband who controls you and puts you down on a daily basis. I've I got a lot of comments, and a lot of people are like, well, men can be in that same relationship too. Men can be in a relationship where they're controlled and abused by words and actions, just like women. And I 100% acknowledge that. I know that that happens, but I cannot give you life advice based off of that because I'm not a man, I'm a woman. So I do want just to acknowledge that everything I'm talking about, it can be for both genders. I, again, am just referring to it as a woman. So let's get into it. I um I hear this comment a lot, and the first reaction that I see the most across all of my social media platforms is that the comment is, well, it's your body, it's your hair, it's your skin, it's you, it's you, it's you. You can do whatever you want. Yes, I 100% agree. But where this really comes into play is that when you're in a relationship where you are so beaten down by the person who is supposed to be loving you, that you lose your identity, you lose your spark, you lose your energy. It no longer is your hair, your skin, your body. It is like it's almost like you are so trying to hide from the person that's doing this that you don't want to bring attention to yourself. You know, I know, being in my relationship, I was married for almost 10 years, and in that 10-year period, I got told that I was not smart enough. I was not pretty enough. I was not skinny enough. I wasn't this. I wasn't that. And I went into this relationship as a fighter. I was me. And in the very beginning, I'm like, I I don't know, it wears you down. So let's just put it that way. So it's not as easy for us. So it's not easy for that person getting that comment to just be like, well, you know what? It's my skin. I'm going to get a tattoo, or it's my hair. I'm going to go cut it, because you don't want to bring that extra attention to you. You almost have to hide who you are from the person that you're with, because like I said, any sort of like spark of self worth or any sort of spark of resistance, they double down on their comments, on their abuse. And you get worn down. And that's just the thing. It's like I look at it like a little drop of water. You get a little drop of water on a rock, and eventually that little drop of water is going to wear that rock away. And that is exactly what happens in any sort of relationship when you are with somebody who is tearing their partner down. It just happens. You wake up one morning and you no longer know who you are. You wake up one morning and you're like, why am I acting like this? This just isn't me. And it's sad, and it makes my heart break every single time I see a comment where somebody is saying, I wish I could do this, or my husband tells me that, or my wife tells me this, or this and this. And so I want to make sure that I stay on subject here. So, what we as people who are strong, who are not in that kind of relationship, when we see those comments, our first reaction is to be like, well, it's your skin, do it. It's your hair, do it. And I would never let anybody tell me this. And while I totally understand that, every time we say, I would never let anybody do that, what that person hears is like, you're weak, or, there's something wrong with you because you're letting this person tell you these things. So while I think that is a very valid reaction, that I would never let anybody tell me this, when you're that person who this is actually happening to, it almost is like the same kind of abuse that you're getting, because what you hear is like, I guess I'm not as strong as that person because otherwise I wouldn't be in this relationship. So I'm trying to shed light on the compassion and the empathy that we need to have for these people who are in these relationships. Because I will guarantee you, 90% of the people who are in these relationships want out of these relationships. And they cannot see the light at the end of the tunnel in order for them to do it. Because you have to realize is that when you are so beaten down that you can't even wear a haircut the way that you want, how can you imagine doing life without this partner? It becomes insurmountable. It becomes like this giant sort of task that you just can't see the light at the end of the tunnel. And for me personally, I got to that point where when I walked away from my marriage, I weighed 98 pounds. I was just whittled down to nothing. And I had no self confidence. I had no self esteem. I had, I felt like a leaf being blown around in a windstorm. And it was during that time. Let's see, let me tell you how long I've been divorced. I don't even know how long I've been divorced. I got married in 1989. I left in 1998. So let me get my calculator out. So it's 2023 minus 1998. I've been divorced for 25 years. All right. And out of those 25 years, it probably took me, and I don't know why I'm laughing, but it probably took me 18 years to recover from my almost 10 years of marriage. And it it seems like really daunting. Hush. Indy cannot stand either the Amazon guy or the mailman. I don't know why she thinks that they are to be kept away from the house. But so for 18 years, I had to work on who I was as a person. During those 18 years, I became an alcoholic. I became a gambling addict. I made really bad decisions in life, but I made my way through it. So, again, trying to stay on subject because there's just so many different levels of this conversation that we could have. So it was in 1998 that I finally woke up one morning, being 98 pounds, I thought I had no value in life. It had been stripped from me. Um, that I just was like, I don't know if I can do this anymore. I don't know if I can live like this anymore. But I had two children. I had two small sons. Robert was 7 and Brandon was 5. And Indiana Jones, come here. Hey, come here. So I'm sitting there and I'm like, what's the right decision? Because you know what? I wanted to make the right decision, not only for myself, but for them, mostly for them. And I'm like, do I leave him and try to raise my kids on my own? Or do I stay with him for my kids? Stop. Indy, stop. She is all sorts of twisted because she saw that squirrel. So I'm like, do I stay with him or do I leave? What is the best? And I remember I asked my sister, and what my sister said is the one that put the wheels in motion for where I am today. If you are out there and you are finding yourself in that same sort of situation that I just described that I was in, I want you to listen to the words that she said. Because I went to her and I'm like, I don't know what to do. I don't know if it's best to stay with him or if it's best to leave him. I don't know what's right. And she looked at me and she's like, Lonnie, she goes, it's not really about you. It's about Robert and Brandon. She goes, you need to stop and you need to look at your children. She says, if your children are good, you stay. If your children are not good, you leave. And I'm like, wow, you know what? I was so close to that situation. I didn't even think of it that way. So I'm like, okay, that's what I'm going to do. So I took a hard look at my kids and they were not okay because anytime that you are in a relationship that person is doing it to you, it's going to trickle down to your children. And there are and I saw it in them. And again, I was so close to the situation, I didn't see it. So I decided to leave. And he knew I was going to leave, and he became very threatening. And I'm like, okay, if you're going to play it that way, I'm not going to back down. I'm not going to be intimidated to stay in a marriage that's not only destroying me, but it's affecting my children. And so he went to work one morning. And while he was at work, I got a bunch of friends, packed everything I could, and I left. And it was a it was a struggle. I will tell you right now, it was not easy, but it was a fight worth fighting. It was a struggle worth struggling. And the more I separated myself from that, the more intense it became. But the more that I learned that I had the power in myself to make the decisions that he could no longer control me with. So, again, if you're out there and you are in a situation where you know you are being hurt by words or actions from your partner, I want to just tell you this message. And this is just from my heart to yours. I always say, whenever I'm talking, or you see it a lot of times on my comments, to shine bright. I always say, shine bright, be bright, shine, let your light shine. Because I consider our spirit and who we are like a pilot light. All right. Sometimes when you're in a relationship where you are being not treated very kindly, you have a tendency to put your pilot light on a vacation mode, where you just dim it. Again, you try to hide. You are just basically you don't want that extra attention. Now, your pilot light does not go out. All right, your flame never goes out. Your spirit never goes out. You are never completely extinguished as long as you have a heartbeat and you're taking a breath. All right. You might not feel like yourself. You might not feel as bright as you want to be, but that doesn't mean it's not still there. So know that you still have that spark. It's just being dimmed. And just know that you at any time can turn it back on. And I guess you really have to be in one of those relationships to really understand what I'm saying. Um, it can translate over to a lot of different things, and again, it's all about having compassion for the people who are experiencing it. If you've never experienced it, you are one lucky individual, and I hope that you never have to experience it. It is not fun and it is damaging, but it's not damage that cannot be uncorrected. So, I hope from the bottom of my heart that by my sharing my experience and sharing my story that I have helped anybody out there who needed to hear this. You're not alone. You are valuable. And no matter what you're being told, just remember it is a them problem, not a you problem. All right. You aren't anything that they're telling you that you are. And yeah, so sometimes, I mean, it's kind of funny because I mean, it's not really funny, but sometimes it's like you look at me and it's just, I mean, I have a lot of different layers to my life. You know what? I didn't have an easy childhood. I didn't have an easy adulthood. Um, but I took those experiences and I turned them around to give me the strength and the courage to do the things that I do today. You know, I'm not going to let those experiences rob me from the happiness that I know that I can produce for myself. And it's never, ever, ever too late to recapture your own energy and your own pilot light. And again, I really, truthfully, from the bottom of my heart, hope that this helps anybody who needed to hear this today. So there you go. That was, like I said, that was a little bit different than what I usually do. But I really wanted to share this with you. And I wanted to say more on my video when I was doing my hair, but I didn't really want it was, I don't think, the right time for the right subject. And so I did it today. And my hair is definitely lightening up. I'm going to tell you right now, if you want to buzz your hair, but you have thin hair, I would try to make it a little bit of a lighter color because any sort of, like if you have like a thinning spot or anything, if your hair is really dark, it's going to show. And I've had people tell me, like, oh, I wish I could buzz my hair, but my hair is too thin. I personally think if you lighten it up and then you buzz it, you're not going to see the thinning. And I did do a poll today because I've had a lot of really rude people on Instagram who are extremely offended by my hair. And um, they're about half and half. About half of them are men and about half of them are women. And I don't know if it's just if it's like the whole message behind the freedom of being able to do whatever I want, but they are coming at me with pitchforks and flames. And you know what, truthfully, they don't bother me and until they start attacking like other people on my platform. Because I've had some people be like, you know what, get a life. You know what, it's her hair. And then they're all like, at that person. And I just have zero patience for any sort of negativity like that. And the thing is like understanding where I've come from. You know that I have zero patience for negativity or a bully. And it's like, to me, if somebody reaches out and just by the way that they comment, I will instantly know if they have the same vibe as my ex-husband. And if they do, I have the power now to be like, delete, you are not allowed in my life. And it's being having that power is absolutely beautiful. Now, I have been divorced for 25 years. I never got remarried. And I believe the last time we had any contact with him, I think he's on wife number 5. I don't know why I'm whispering. It's like number 5. Yeah, he has. And the thing is like he has no idea that he's the problem. And I'm just like, dude, you know what? If the last 4 are doing the same thing, you might want to look inward. I don't talk very often about Robert and Brandon and their relationship with their dad, but they don't have one because that same energy that he was giving to me, he was doing to them, and they just don't want to be a part of it, and I don't blame them. So that was a very heavy conversation. I am off to do some filming for my other little channel. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I do have a second YouTube channel where I go out and I just do some videoing of really cool things I see. And I've started doing that because I have found that it's a really cool escape for me. It's a really cool way for me just to take a mental break. And it is very, it's fun. It's a fun little adventurous thing to do. And I'm working on another video for gray hair and tattoos for tomorrow because, a little spoiler alert, I am getting a new facial treatment today that is so new. I cannot find any information about it on the website. So I'm super excited to see, what it's all about, how I like it, and if I think it's something that you might like. So, spoiler alert. So I'm going to go try to convince Indy that squirrels are not bad and that they're not out there to cause mayhem. Because the poor thing, we saw the gray squirrel running across the fence. Then the dog starts barking across the street. So Indy's like, oh my gosh, the squirrels are attacking us. We all need to run and hide. And now she won't go outside. So I'm going to go take her outside and see if I can't convince her that squirrels are not attacking us. So I will see you all live on Wednesday. I'm working on my projects for today. I again hope that my life experiences can help you in any sort of way. Um, Even though it doesn't feel like it, your spark is in there. And just always know that I love you and I believe in you. And yeah, and just love and believe in yourself also. So until next time, remember, be bright, be bold, be brave. And I will be live again on Wednesday. Bye, everyone.